I am going to sit here and I am probably not going to have a single Democrat that is going to listen to this, but I am going to address the Democrats for a minute. The 60s and 70s should show that the FBI should not be politicized towards any political ideology. Seriously, it should not be politicized towards any political ideology. If you are under the impression that it should and you are a Democrat, well, you are not a student of history. I am not somebody who thinks that federal law enforcement should enforce ideology. It should enforce the law as it is worded. And I'll even tell you this, there's a lot of laws that I don't think should be on the books, and I think we should get rid of them. We had 4 years under Biden, and sadly, some of the time under Trump, because Christopher Wray was not doing his job in a correct manner, that we saw a politicization against conservatives. And that had been already swinging that way for a while, but then it just culminated under the Biden administration. If you are a Democrat and you think that it is fine to attack people who are ideologically different than you, we have a problem. Because, number one, this has been used against you, so why are you thinking it's fine to use it against somebody else? I'm not good with things like COINTELPRO. I am not good with a lot of what the FBI did back 60s, 70s. I'm not good with J. Edgar Hoover. Hoover was the exact wrong person to run a federal law enforcement agency for as long as he did. We don't need that. And Democrats, this clip I'm about to show you is Andy Biggs, U.S. Representative. He is talking about some things that the FBI did, and it's mostly focusing on what happened under the Biden administration. But here's the thing, this should send a warning sign to a lot of people to get you to go, no, never again should we allow political ideology to shape what the FBI does. It should have already been that way. Anybody who is of the Democrat Party should go, no, absolutely not. Because you have a history in this country of Democrat organizations that were targeted specifically because of political ideology, and they were targeted in a way that basically framed people. I'm not okay with that history. I'm not for the Democrat Party. I am not a Democrat by any stretch of the imagination. I might have some classic liberal leanings, but I don't have modern liberal leanings. There is a definite political difference there. That political philosophy, study it. Those are two different political leanings. They are akin to each other, but they are not the same thing. And I have no problems with classically liberal thought processes. I may not agree with it all the time, but I have no problems with it. Modern liberalism, I don't even want to begin to get into the screw ups that is. But it doesn't mean that I want federal law enforcement to go against them because of political philosophy. What happened there in the past 4 years should be the Democrats should be standing beside the Republicans and going, you know what? This was idiotic. It needs to never happen again. And we need to shape it so that it doesn't happen to us and it doesn't happen to Republicans or conservatives, because not all conservatives are Republicans. So I want you to listen to this 5 minute, 40-second clip. And if you don't believe that this isn't a little disturbing, We have problems, people, but let's get this clip out of the way. And also hit like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Also hit join if you don't mind. I would like to have a little bit of help here. Here, I'm trying to raise $3,000, and every little bit helps. Let's get in the clip.
Howdy, y'all. This is Paul, the Redneck Thinker. What we have here is a channel to communicate. I want you folks to be thinking by the time you leave my videos. Why? Because I'm tired of people talking via what other people tell them to think. So, watch my video and enjoy the chance to think for yourself.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the witnesses for coming here to testify today. Ms. Parker, thank you for your testimony. In your testimony, you relate the misuse by the FBI of SWAT resources, and you give the example of a nonviolent first-time January 6th offenders, one SWAT team spending overnight in a hotel 4.5 hours away to arrest grandparents in their late 70s. Sound like some dangerous hombres to me. On September 23rd, 2022, we're all familiar with the case of a pro-life activist and homeschool father of 7, Mark Houck's no criminal record. He was arrested in a SWAT raid, guns drawn in front of his family. Then there's 73-year-old pro-life activist Chester Gallagher, who was arrested for nonviolent violation of the FACE Act. And then there was pro-life activist Paul Vaughn, arrested in an early morning raid by the FBI, guns drawn in front of his 7 children. Sound like some really dangerous offenders to me. But pro-lifers aren't the only ones who have been targeted by the Biden FBI. Vanessa Sivage, a nurse at Texas Children's Hospital, read the story of whistleblower Ethan Heim, who we're familiar with, who exposed gender transition procedures being done at Texas Children's Hospital, despite the hospital having proclaimed that they were no longer doing those procedures because the Attorney General of Texas was investigating that clinic for child abuse. Vanessa stepped forward and basically confirmed Dr. Heim's story. She was then visited 2 months later by the FBI. And then, of course, the anti-Catholic memorandum that we're familiar with. I have that here in my hand right now. Just some simple questions. First of all, this is labeled as a domain perspective. Ms. Parker, what is a domain perspective?
That's a document that, from my understanding, was distributed within the FBI as intelligence. Someone formulated that document, and it was published internally, and it had a stamp of intelligence on it that was signed off by multiple individuals within the Richmond field office.
And part of that memorandum, first page, says, quote, FBI Richmond makes this assessment with high confidence based on FBI investigations, local law enforcement agency reporting, and liaison reporting with various degrees of corroboration and access. I mean, what does the term, high confidence mean to you, Ms. Parker?
When I hear high confidence, I want to believe that it's trustworthy, that I can count on that is factual, that is truth. And my understanding of that memorandum is that they use sources that would not typically be used to gather intelligence. And what was happening at the FBI quite frequently and was disturbing to many is that there were individuals taking their personal views, packaging it up, and creating a document and then stamping intelligence on it and distributing as if it was truth, as if it was almost the Bible. And that is an example of, abuse of your law enforcement power. You're allowed to have your own personal and political opinions, but when you go to work, you've got to leave those at the front door, and you have to exercise in an unbiased and fair manner and be truthful. And when you're getting an intelligence document, you want to hope that it is factually correct and it is true. And unfortunately, that was a document that Christopher Wray had to have rescinded because it was not accurate, and he found it mind-boggling and disgusting that it had ever been published.
Well, one thing I find mind-boggling, first of all, I am Catholic myself. I'm not a traditional Latin Mass Catholic. Often such people who prefer to go to the Latin Mass are referred to as traditionalist Catholics. And then so-called rad-trad or radical traditionalist Catholics are those who only go to Catholic Mass, who some of them believe that the regular English Mass is invalid or reject Vatican II or what have you. But not a single one of them I know even own guns, much less are they radicals or whatever. And then when I look at this memorandum, I see they're quoting the Southern Poverty Law Center, just a viciously political defamatory group. I've worked a lot on immigration issues. I think Southern Poverty Law Center has declared every immigration reform group to be a racist or white supremacist group. They're just a walking defamation factory. Have you seen the Southern Poverty Law Center quoted in other FBI memos over the years?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not. But again, that was entirely inappropriate and never should have happened. And the FBI had to walk that back. But again, that is an example of weaponization. That is social weaponization at the FBI. It's entirely inappropriate. And it never should have happened.
The FBI not going after bad guys, but going after enemies of the political regime. Third world stuff. Thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
I thank the gentleman. And by the way, the director of the FBI had to apologize for that. It's not a debunked theory.
Now I know I flapping my jaws quite a bit on this topic, but one of the people that was convicted of the January 6th incident, this particular story just infuriated me, along with so many others. I mean, the whole January 6th thing, I have a I'm not sure the exact word, the redneck in me definition's not always there, but I have a total look at it and I go, there's problems. I think that those that were violent that day should be convicted. End of story. If you were being violent, if you were destroying government property just to be wantonly destructive, yes, you should be arrested. If you stole things out of a member of Congress's office, yes, you should be convicted. If you just walked in, and the videos show that the vast majority of these people were not violent, and the police that were inside the building said, hey, come on in, handed water out. But one guy in particular is my poster child of how extreme the FBI and the Department of Justice got. Guy goes walking up to the door. He follows all these people that had marched on Congress. They were let through the barricades. There is an actual video of the barricades being opened up to let people in at one of the entrances. Now, this wasn't the case all over, but this one particular entrance, they removed the barricades to let people come in. This guy's following the crowd. He steps up to the door, puts his foot in the door. One of the law enforcement officers that were there went, hey, come on in, being friendly with them. And it was at that moment that Admiral Akbar sat on his shoulder and went, it's a trap. Now, if you don't know that reference, well, I feel sorry for you. I really do. But he went, nope, not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. And he steps back out and leaves. For that crime of just setting his foot inside the building for 6 seconds, he got convicted and sentenced to 2 years of federal probation. That's a little extreme. Actually, it's beyond extreme. He should never have been arrested. He should never have been convicted for setting his foot inside the building for 6 seconds and realizing he shouldn't have been there. That's beyond extreme. This, along with the targeting of certain types of Catholics, and I disagree with the Catholic Church. I could get into a whole long discussion of why I dislike the Catholic Church. I don't have a problem with Catholics. I have a problem with the church itself. And I'm not going to go into it because it would be a 20-hour long video. Literally, I would be citing things that would probably cause people to go, "What?" Um, but here's the thing. They should not be targeted just because, well, they're a little bit more traditionalist than they should be. All religions have people within them that go a little too far in their thought processes. You don't like it, oh well. But they have. They they got targeted. Pro-life people who did not commit any violent acts were just protesting for pro-life causes, getting arrested for doing pro-life things should not be targeted. It's a political ideology that if you disagree with it, okay, I'll disagree with you, but I can disagree with you without wanting to cause you violence or have you arrested. None of this is okay in this country. If you think it is, well, we have a problem. We really do. And so if you are a Democrat listening to this, and if you've made it this far, thank you. I want you to consider this from a long point of history. If you cause law enforcement to become enforcers of political ideology, that will get turned on you quickly. That is history. That is what happens. And Democrats and Republicans both should be fighting for a non political ideology within all branches of federal law enforcement. They should only enforce the law. If you disagree with that, you've got a problem if you disagree with that. Seriously. Now, if we're talking somebody who's being violent or committing crimes for a political ideology, okay, fine, arrest them. But if they're not, leave them that alone. That's just my thoughts. You tell me what you think. This has been Paul, the Redneck Thinker. Y'all have a good day now. Bye. So, folks, that's the story that I wanted to bring you on this video. And I just wanted to say thank you again for coming by. Hit like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff if you don't mind. Help me out. So, y'all have a good day now. Bye.